What's up, everybody?
How you doing?
Doing all right.
Well, how are you feeling heading into the season?
I feel pretty good. Just kind of getting back into it. Been trying to do whatever it takes, whether it's trying to learn the offense like it's the back of my hand, or whether it's just being able to stay out a little bit later, catching jugs, or just kind of getting back into my rhythm. But feeling pretty good, running pretty good, and excited to kind of get year 10 underway.
We didn't see a whole lot, obviously, in the preseason. Was that just kind of a maintenance thing to try to get you to this point? Okay?
Yeah, it was just some things that I needed to kind of get worked on and get fixed, and they didn't want me to kind of go out there and make things worse or, kind of put me out to where I'm in jeopardy and not being able to play in the season. So, I think Mike did a great job. The athletic training staff did a great job just being able to kind of work with me and give me some of the things that I felt like I needed to be able to get back out here. And, I think that's what you want. You want A team. You want A plus strength and conditioning staff, A plus athletic training staff, and so everybody did their job. Yeah. Unless you know something I don't.
Not everybody gets to year 10.
Yeah, I was just talking to Lakin about that. So me and Lakin are in the same agency, got the same agent, and we were just talking about, like, man, what's the percentage of guys that get into year 10? And we were like, it's probably 1%. And so, you think that's accurate? I don't know. But, it's a blessing to me still to be a year 10. There's still a good amount of guys that I came in draft class that's still being able to play, and they're still playing at a high level or still being able to be on the team and stuff. And so I think it's a blessing all around. We always say it's 3.5 is the average. And so, basically beat that dang near 3 times.
How invigorating is it when you get a new offensive coordinator that comes in, new offense? It's got to put a little pep in your step a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes, new is good. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to imagine if you were in the same offense for 10 straight years, like if there would be any excitement, for you coming in. Like, meetings would be a lot more difficult because you know everything left and right, because you've been a part of something for so long. And I think for me, it's been interesting because I think every 3 years I've had a new offensive coordinator. And so it's allowed me to approach the game different, and it's allowed me to see the game different and learn different ways and unique abilities to be able to use my skills to go out there and still try to do the same thing that I've been doing. So it's fun learning from each offensive coordinator that I've been under.
And having been in different offenses, what do you like about this one?
I think we all saw UW play last year. So I think it was very exciting. And I think, so many of us get so caught up in, man, they were able to throw the ball. They threw the ball 40 or 50 times. But, I think it's incredible that you even have a running back that rushed for 1,000 yards, while doing that. And so what that showed me was, regardless of whatever a team decided to do, if they wanted to take away the pass, they had dynamic running backs to be able to make plays. When you look at if they wanted to take away some of the run, they was able to throw the ball downfield, be explosive. If they took away explosives, they just dink and dunked all the way down the field. So I think it's very creative the way that Grubb is. With the little amount of time that I've been around him, I think like he's super sophisticated, and I think he sees the game a lot different than how I've kind of seen it in the past. But, definitely looking forward to being able to learn and grow, because as I kind of learn kind of like his scheme and how he does things, I think it's a really cool idea.
Hey, Tyler, you've made explosive plays throughout your career, a little bit less last year. Do you think this scheme is going to give you a chance to get back to kind of your explosive ways?
It just depends on how they decide to utilize me. Last year, like some of the explosives and stuff went away, but at the same time, I wasn't asked to do a lot of explosive things. So, of course, like on paper, it looks bad, but like for me, I'm just being the teammate that they asked me to be. Sometimes I got to be the decoy, and I got to be able to run and get other people open. Sometimes, I had beat a defender, and me and Gino just weren't able to connect. Sometimes I didn't get into my drive phase a lot more. So there's a lot of scenarios. Sometimes I make a play, it's a flag on the play. So there was a lot of things that may have happened or where things didn't work out. But I think the one thing for me was just to be able to keep fighting, keep playing. At the end of the day, sometimes you need a lot of things to work out as a receiver. You need to make sure it's not a flag. You need to make sure the line blocks, make sure the throw is right there, make sure you catch the ball, make sure the defense is doing what you want them to do. And And so, I mean, going into this year, obviously, like, you know, you learn each week how they decide to utilize you. But, you know, if they want me to go out there and be a decoy, that's what I got to do. It's my job, right? If they want me to go out there and I'm getting however many targets, and I'm going to do the best that I can to be able to make those targets work. But for me, you know, going into year 10, I want to be able to be the best version of myself, whether that's blocking, because I could do a way better job of blocking, whether that's being a better decoy, whether that's getting myself open. Like, I'm at the point now where I want to be able to take my game to another level regardless of age, regardless of years.
You said that Grubb sees the game differently. Can you give an example of what that sort of means?
I mean, it's kind of tough to give an example on the spot, but I just think, like, I mean, I play college football, right? Like, I'm not really an air raid person. You know what I mean? Like, I do RPOs, I run the ball. Like, I got certain pass plays that I know is going to work. But, like, when you watch his offense and you see some of the things that they do, some things mix in with what I've been a part of, whether I was at Kansas State or whether I was with other coordinators. But there's just one thing that makes it slightly different to where you're like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I wonder why, you know, we didn't learn this, like, you know, back in the day, or learn this in college, or see this route differently. Like, so I can't really give certain things because then I'm giving away plays, right? But just like certain routes that come with concepts, it's easy for defenses to look at concepts and say, we know what's coming. You know, if inside goes out, outside's probably going in, but that's not always true now. You know what I mean? If outside goes, so it's just stuff like that to where what you see is not what you get. So as a DB, you might be taught if a receiver runs an inside release, that means that 9 times out of 10 he's going inside, but that's not always the case. You know, and it's not always the case if he takes an outside release that he's going to break outside. So when you do things that's different than what the defense is accustomed to seeing, it makes them have to play more honest, which allows you to go back to schematic plays that they're used to, but they don't play it the same because they don't know what's coming.
Speaking of year 10, what do you remember of your first game, that first game in St. Louis, and sort of, I guess, how you felt going into that?
Man, that was after 4 preseasons, right? So, I mean, I was looking forward to it. I didn't know what to expect, but being in St. Louis, I mean, it was close to home. Like, easy drive, easy flight for anybody in my family that wanted to come out there. You know, I was around a lot of great guys, a lot of it was a vet-oriented team, so it made it a lot easier for me because really I just had to do my part. I didn't have to do too much. I didn't have to do too little. I just had to go out there and be me. And it felt great because in preseason, you know, I was blessed to be able to establish myself in a way to where a lot of those guys believed in me at returner. You know, they gave me the chance to be number 3, but I also understand some injuries had occurred in preseason, which allowed me to be that. But just catching that first punt return and taking it to the house, it was like I had guys like Sherm that wanted to be out there, you know, like Doug wanted to be out there, Shed wanted to be out there, like, and when you saw a lot of the vets that played, Jermaine Kearse wanted to be out there, it made it easier on me because I was like, man, they would rather get a flag before they let me get smacked. So, you know, that stuff kind of really helped me out a lot, just with knowing, like, okay, I believe in myself, but now they believe in me even more to where they're willing to go an extra play and not even sit on the bench. And so it made it a lot easier for me after I scored the first time I touched the ball.
Tyler, every receiver room has a different identity with Laviska added and Derek healthy this year. What do you think the identity of the receiver room is going to be this year?
I have no clue. Honestly, I think this has been like the best receiving core I've been a part of, just from camp to OTAs to seeing what everybody's done. Like, I think literally, like, we've even let guys go that had a chance to really, really be on the team. And so it sucked because it's like, man, you wish all 90 could be on the team, right? But it doesn't work out that way in the league that we play. But I just think this receiving core is dynamic. And all of us do so many amazing things. And because a lot of us have been on the same team with one another, it's easy to be able to play off of one another. And now our game is starting to correlate with the way that we play, to where you could be able to see that there's been some level of, like, rhythm and chemistry as we're going out there and playing. We understand, you know, from past systems, the ability for us to run through our route because it gets somebody else open, to where now we get into this Grubb system. We understand the importance of being able to finish our routes and finish the plays, and understanding how if we can make the blocks look the same as the passes, everything opens up. And so for us, I mean, I'm excited, man. I mean, you don't want to be too excited, you know, but at the same time, you want to have some type of excitement where you still have that level of composure to go play.
What do you make of what you're seeing from Gino and Cam?
Man, I think he's been phenomenal. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people have said, like, this is probably the best that they've seen him and stuff like that. I think he's had the best camp that I've seen him have. And, you know, his mindset, I mean, I think he still has that mindset of, like, that dog mentality. I got to go out there and grind. I got to go out there and get it. You know, for him, I think, you know, there's a lot of reasons why he plays the game, but I'm just excited to still be able to be here playing with him and just being able to go out here and try to do what we can to make this team better.
What is Mike Macdonald like?
Mike is different, but it's a cool different. It's a fun different. You know, I got a chance to be able to talk with him a lot, and he's a really cool guy. You know, we talk about war movies. We talk about a lot of different things, but it's really cool being able to pick his brain. The fun part is being able to try to dissect this defense and tell him what you think you see and how they're going to do this, this, and this. And he's like, yeah, no, you don't get it yet. You don't got it. But, I mean, he's a really cool dude, man. It's crazy to think that, like, he's only, 6 years older than me. Like, that's wild to me anyway. But, again, shoot, blessings to him being able to be one of the youngest head coaches to ever be able to coach in the league right now. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to be able to be on this team.
What stands out the most about him as a coach? Like what impresses you the most?
You know, I think he's a guy that plays by the book, you know, so I think, you know, I think the best part about him is obviously he goes by the book, but he's really, really great at adapting. And sometimes, like, as players, one of the hardest things for us to do is to adapt when things don't happen the way that we want it to happen. But for him, it's like, I remember he told a story. He called this thing on defense. It didn't work, and it literally ate him up the whole weekend. And he was like, never again will I put myself in that situation. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to do this, this, and that. And so when you hear that, it's almost – you almost rather win doing it his way, because if you don't win in the defense he calls or whatever, he's going to come back and that defense is going to be way more better the next week, because he's going to make sure he cleans up every single error, and he's going to make sure that he's like 2 or 3 times better than what it was the last time. Hopefully that made sense. It made sense to me.
Hey, Tyler, week 1 tends to be a little bit of a grind for offenses. 1, why do you think that is? And 2, is that something that you guys think you're preparing for this time?
I mean, I think it's just a grind, because it depends how long you played in a preseason. But also, like, you going into a game and sometimes you just don't know what to expect. A lot of ones didn't go against other ones. You're going out there, you're nervous. You know the crowd is going to be crazy. I think the hardest part is just getting that first down, honestly. I think once you kind of get that first down, or you're able to touch the ball one time, the nerves kind of go away. It kind of goes back to it being football. But until then, it's kind of like that imagination starts to run a little bit wild, and you kind of see the game a lot more bigger than you're supposed to really see it. And so I think sometimes we just got to be able to get back to that place where you're able to just understand that it's a game and that the atmosphere doesn't look as different as it's always been. But if we think it to be different, then we start acting outside of ourselves.
Do you have a reason or two why you lasted 10 years in the league?
My faith. I mean, and then they decide to keep me. I mean, I think for me, man, the biggest thing that I tell a lot of people is you got to put down how many number of years you want to play, but you can't control what team it is. So if you say I want to play 8 years, you got to focus on giving it your all for those 8 years. You can't get so caught up and emotional to be attached to a team, because the team is going to do what's best for the team at all times. And so for me, like, every time that I decide to play, I'm like, number 1, I'm going to go hard for God. Number 2, I'm going to give it all I got, and we're just going to see where the chips fall. But regardless of what happens, I know I'm going to come back swinging the next play. And so for me, I always want to give it all I got. I want to see how far I could take this game, regardless of however many years I got left. I want to be able to really be the best that I could be, because I know when I choose to be done playing, I'm not going to miss the game, because I made sure that I used every route that I could possible. I made sure I used every amount of energy possible to play this game. I don't want to leave too early to where I want to come back, and then it's like, it's hard to get back in once you leave. I want to play to the point to where I feel like I did what I wanted to do, and then when I choose to be done, I'm good.
What number was your number?
Oh, I always tell y'all every time it was 8. But, I mean, I never thought about 8. 8 just looked like a good number. Plus, my dad played 7. And so when I got drafted, when I had beat his records at K-State, he was like, but you didn't get drafted in front of me. And so it was like, well, I'm like, let me try to play 8. And then I played 8. It wasn't no level of competition, but now I can at least be like, you play 7, you know. So.
Did you kick off rules any chance you return? Was that a thought for you?
You know, with the new rule, if they ask me, I'll do it for sure. Because, I mean, there's times where you miss it, but there's a lot that goes into it. You just can't put people back there and be like, all right, you got it. You know what I mean? It's a lot that plays into it, and sometimes you get to that place where you've been out of it for so long. I can get myself rewired to get back into it, but again, like, I'm kind of on the place where it's like, hey, man, if you need somebody, I'll go do it. If you need me at punt return, I'll go do it. You need me at kick return, I'll go do it. If whatever you need me to do, I'll go do it.
Really just what do you think of the rules now?
I think it's different, but I mean, you hear so much stuff. The NFL has to protect its image, and they have to protect themselves, because what happens if people start getting hurt a little bit too much, and then the game starts to get in the hands of people outside to where they start to dictate how the game is really being played. So I feel like the NFL has to do their part in being able to take care of players regardless of whether we like it or not, and they got to be able to find a middle ground to protect not only their image but protect the players, because I think if you don't protect the players, it only gets worse. Right? Like, we talk about health benefits and we talk about all these things within our CBA, but there's some things that we're still fighting for that people might not have, or like, I got to get to year 10 just to get the max out all my benefits. Well, that's very rare for people to get to year 10, right? So I think you got to try to find ways to be able to allow people to maximize their time and their potential in the NFL, as well as their benefits with the health and stuff, as well as the NFL finding ways to take care of their players.
As a former Pro Bowl returner, what do you see in Dee Williams' game as a returner?
Oh, man, I think he's going to be really great, man. I think, you know, we saw small glimpses of what he can be able to do. I mean, he can make a person miss, and then he can literally hit his speed right then and there. So it's going to be fun to see what he could do when everybody's out there being able to block for him, when we're actually able to scheme a team and able to understand where they punt, why they punt, how they punt it. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, the biggest job is just to catch him, and I think he's done a great job being able to do that to where the coaches trust him, and now the players are going to be able to go out there and make things happen for him.